All right, let's talk about that battle that happens inside all of us, the one between just coasting on autopilot and living with a real, actual purpose. It's a huge deal, so let's dive right in.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? The morning routine is a blur, the workday is just one reaction after another, and then, bam, it's nighttime. And you kind of stop and think, wait, where did today go? Who is even driving?
Well, that feeling, it's not a flaw. It's not you being lazy. It's actually a signpost. It's pointing to this massive choice that we're all making, whether we realize it or not. Are we going to take the path of least resistance, which is habit, or are we going to choose the path of alignment, the path of intention?
So here's how we're going to break this down today. First, we're going to really get what autopilot is. Then, we'll look at the hidden price we pay for it. After that, we'll discover the alternative, this really powerful path of alignment. And finally, we'll talk about how you can, actually take back the wheel.
Okay, first up, what does it really mean to live on autopilot? The source material calls this the path of least resistance, and it's basically when our life becomes this passive, automatic thing.
So just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got living by habit. That's the passive state, right? We're just reacting to whatever's easiest, whatever we feel like doing. The autopilot is definitely on. But then you look over at living by intention, and it's all about active engagement. You're not just reacting, you're planning, you're deciding. Your heart and your mind are actually in the game.
And again, this isn't just about laziness. That autopilot switch gets flipped for much deeper reasons. It's often this internal tug of war, a struggle between what we say we value and what it actually takes to live that way. It's our fears showing up, it's us retreating to what feels safe, and let's be honest, it's often a response to that constant pressure to just please everybody else. So that internal tug of war, it points to the real root of the problem, this fundamental disconnect happening deep inside us. It's a conflict between our heart and our mind. Let's unpack that. First, you've got the heart. The source material describes this as our identity, our core self. This is the real you, what you need, what you want, your passions, your deepest desires. It's who you are when nobody's looking.
And then you've got the mind. This is more like your personality. It's how you show that core self to the world. It's your creativity, your purpose, the values you say you live by. It's your public-facing self, in a way.
Now, the problem kicks in when these two are out of sync, and this quote just nails it. The real conflict is when the person we want to be doesn't line up with the person we actually see ourselves as. Our habits, our autopilot moments, they live in that gap.
So, okay, what's the big deal if we live in that gap for a while? Well, the consequences are actually pretty serious, but they're sneaky. It's like this quiet erosion of our own integrity.
The sources use this perfect analogy. Living by habit is like having a slow leak in the foundation of a house. You don't see it day to day, everything looks fine on the surface, but underneath, the entire structure of who you are is getting weaker and weaker. And eventually, that damage starts to show. Cracks start to appear in our integrity. Our words and our actions are suddenly speaking two different languages. We get, as the source says, divorced from our commitments. Promises get broken. And this is when relationships start to suffer, and our passions just fade. We become double-minded, totally inconsistent.
And the ultimate cost of all this? It's profound. This quote says it all. The more our habits run the show, the more our true selves just kind of fade into the background. We completely lose our way.
Okay, but it is not all doom and gloom. I promise. There is another path. So let's shift gears and talk about the solution, the path of alignment. This is all about the incredible power we have when we choose to live by intention.
So what does it even mean to live intentionally? It's a deliberate, active choice. It means you close that gap between your heart and mind. Your internal values are the things that actually guide your external actions. It's your authentic self finally taking action in the real world.
And the benefits of living this way are just transformative. When you're aligned, you get this internal stability. You're not constantly questioning who you are. You could take off the mask, you don't have to compete to belong, you just feel comfortable in your own skin. Life stops being a competition and starts being a process of discovery. And your integrity? It's restored. Who you are and what you do are finally the same thing.
But here's the thing. Choosing this path means you have to reject something, a really powerful force that's always pushing us back toward autopilot. And that's society's broken definition of success, what the source material calls systematized worth.
And this slide just lays out the battle so clearly.
On one side, society screams at us to build platforms, focus on fame, get attention, be valued for what you have. But the path of intention is totally different. It's about planting gardens. It's about nurturing real growth, finding meaning through deep connection, and being valued for what you give. I mean, it's the choice between wanting to be remembered versus wanting to be loved.
This is such a critical point. Our culture is so obsessed with the platform builders that when we meet someone who is genuinely authentic, someone quietly planting their garden, we often don't even see them as successful. Why? Because they're not playing the attention game. Their worth isn't in followers or fame, it's in the depth of their character. It's a quieter success for sure, but it's so much more real.
So let's bring it all back to that ship analogy to wrap this up. Living by habit is like being on autopilot in the middle of a storm. Yeah, you're moving, but you're just drifting with the currents, heading for some random shore you never even picked. But living by intention? That's you, hands on the helm. It's harder, no doubt. You're steering against the waves. But the difference is, you actually arrive where you intended to go.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to ask ourselves. A really important one. In your life, right now, are you the one steering the ship, or have you just been letting it drift? The choice, as always, is yours to make.